The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is DevOps through Agile and ITSM integration. And our guest speaker today is Sayak Roy. He's a senior software engineer, solutions and services, Kovair Services Software Inc. Sayak specializes in corporate solutions and services, product demonstration, POC handling, and configuring customized solutions to satisfy customers' ALM use cases are his core competencies. He also takes keen interest in writing blogs. So, without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Sayak.
Yeah, thanks, Aradhana. So, hello everyone. I'm Sayak Roy, Senior Solutions Engineer from Kovair Software, and I welcome you all in this webinar on DevOps through Agile and ITSM integration on behalf of Kovair. So, first we'll go with a short presentation. So, let's start with that. Every organization wants to respond to their user base at the earliest possible. However, this, in result, causes stress on the functional units of an organization. And as a result of this stress, it is all the more probable that it leads to more issues and consequent disruption of work. The partnership of development and operation through DevOps attempts to address this bottleneck. Developers support operational requirements, and the operations team provide knowledgeable support and feedback before, during, and after deployment. So as you can see in the screen, the infinite loop which starts with plan, code, build, test, and then moves on to the next cycle of release, deploy, operate, and then monitor. This is a continuous cycle, and it moves on as we implement DevOps. So moving on to the next slide, we're going to discuss about the principles, the basic principles of DevOps. So having had the basic understanding of DevOps in the last slide, we'll focus on these primary principles called communication, collaboration, and integration between software development and IT operations. These two groups usually pass things along without communicating or collaborating much. So they tend to work as silos, which is a problem that DevOps tries to address. DevOps recognizes the interdependence of software development and IT operations and helps organizations produce software and IT services more rapidly with frequent iterations. So let us now quickly focus on these three principles. First is communication. So DevOps emphasizes on more and more communication. The basic idea is the more you communicate with all the stakeholders, the more you are aware of what is going on. Communication ensures that all project members are aligned and are on the same boat. And once that is ensured, the probability of implementing DevOps increases. And thus, it also enhances the chances of reaping the benefits of DevOps. We next focus on collaboration, which is almost like taking the next step after communication. The agenda behind communicating remains unfulfilled without collaboration. Now, it is not rocket science to understand that everybody working in a project should strive for a common goal, isn't it? And thus, it is an absolute necessity that the project members should have effective collaboration among themselves. The reason for having separate functional units within one project is that these teams have diverse roles. Some communicate with customers, some gather and analyze those requirements, while others implement those requirements. But then, aren't all of these interdependent on each other, and hence collaboration is necessary in this DevOps scenario. And now coming to the principle of integration, the Agile Manifesto emphasizes individuals and interactions over processes and tools. But DevOps, while emphasizing on collaboration and communication, also looks to automation tools that can leverage an increasingly programmable and dynamic infrastructure from a lifecycle perspective. Integration helps in implementing DevOps when disparate tools worked upon by different functional units that are operating from diverse geographic locations. So now let us have a look on some of the common problems that we face today without DevOps. So the first thing that comes to mind is fear of change. Now then, change is inevitable in an application environment. However, the usual perception is that the application itself and the platform upon which it is installed is somewhat brittle and probably vulnerable as well. And thus, bureaucratic change management systems are put in place, and it takes a painfully long time to introduce new features or fix problems with the application. So another reason is risky deployments. This is the situation in which no one is fully confident that the software will work in the live environment or not. So we have questions like, will the code behave as expected? Will it cope up with the load? And more often than not, we don't have answers to these questions. We tend to push it out at a quiet time and wait to see if it falls over. Another important problem is that teams don't talk between themselves. So as we were discussing, the project team is generally split into developers, testers, release managers working in separate silos. This leads to a lob it over the wall mentality where problems are passed between functional units. Furthermore, we see a replication of this silo structure within the teams. Often, the larger silos aren't in the same premise, the same city, or even sometimes not even in the same country. The result is an us and them philosophy. Groups of people who are simultaneously suspicious of and afraid of each other. Another reason is this works on my machine. So a common situation we experience is one in which a problem manifests itself once the site is live. These problems are typically picked up by the system administrators or client services people, and after investigation, the problem is reported to the developers. Now the developers take a cursory look and retort, "It works on my machine." However, this is meaningless. You do not code to make it work for you, right? But you do it for the world. So our next slide talks about what can be achieved with DevOps. So first we'll emphasize on the technical benefits. DevOps make Agile process effective. So it can be very safely said that the DevOps movement is born out of the Agile movement. The Agile storm, which took the industry by surprise in the late 90s, brought about a revolution in the way people looked into software or application development. And as the industry started to adapt to Agile, with every passing day, it began to look for ways to push Agile to stretch its boundaries. DevOps is one such example, a movement which has surely made Agile more effective. Another point is integrated organized processes. So with the help of DevOps, an automated process workflow can be set up in an organization. This ensures that the teams in an organization are in sync and are on the top of their efficiency levels. Uninterrupted software delivery. So we all know that giants like Google, Amazon, and Twitter are known to deploy multiple times a day. But in such uninterrupted delivery cycles, you need to be assured of the fact that you won't break things that already exist when you are deploying new things. DevOps gives you that assurance. Easier problem to fix or less complicated problems to fix. So with constant collaboration between the operations and development teams, it is ensured that an issue is never really blown out of proportions. Easier problems are always easier to fix and is a blessing for the developers and consequently for the organization. And stretching from that point, quick resolution of problems, it is absolutely obvious that easier problems would always be much more quicker to resolve than complex ones. So next we take a look on the business benefits. So the first point is quicker delivery of features. So continuous communication and collaboration between the development and operations team results in the developers being always up to date and informed about the work items they are working on. This ensures that the features are delivered at the earliest possible. We also have more stable operating environments, so continuous deployments and independent blocks ensure that the operating environment are steadier than usual scenarios. A sync development and operations team also helps the cause. Organized communication or effective high-frequency communication. So with DevOps in place, it is much more easier to communicate. A developer would always know the person to approach for the information and vice versa. This ensures that the communications are channelized and effective as well. And with DevOps in place, we also have more time for value addition. So with lesser and easier problems to fix, there would be lesser need for patches and fixes. That gives you the time frame and the provision to look for value addition and exceed the expectations of your user. So till now we have talked about the nuances of DevOps, so the positives, the negatives, why we need DevOps. So now we are going to talk about that why do we need to do Agile for development and why do we refer ITSM for operations. So coming to the advantages of Agile or why Agile for development. So the first point is that it ensures greater quality and efficiency. So in Agile, the project is broken down into smaller manageable units, and it becomes easier for the team to focus on quality development, collaboration, and testing. Quality is also improved through the iterative review and testing that Agile promotes. Thus, it is understandable that high-quality working softwares can be delivered frequently with the use of time-boxed and fixed schedule iterations. This, in turn, increases predictability and business value. So the next reason for using Agile is that it allows you the scope for change and improvement. So that is because it facilitates great flexibility in the development cycle. Small incremental releases made visible to the product owner and product team through its development help to identify any issues at an early stage and make it much more easier to respond to the change. The next point is better transparency of project progress. Agile preserves mutual interests of the stakeholders from a project perspective rather than catering to individual interests. Thus, as a team, you are always aware that whether you are climbing up the ladder or sliding down the slope. So the next point is a customer-oriented approach, where you have the opportunity to refine and reprioritize the overall product backlogs in Agile. This ensures that the team is always working on the high priority items first. And also by breaking down the project into smaller units, Agile increases the credibility of the project team to deliver customer-oriented quality products. And finally, it enhances business value. So Agile method also allows the client to prioritize their requirements with respect to the schedule and cost of iterations. The Agile approach of fixed timescales and evolving requirements enables a fixed budget, and hence the scope of product and its features are variable rather than the cost. So now that we are aware of the reasons for using Agile for development, we'll come to ITSM for operations and the reasons for it. So we are doing it because it is more reliable. ITSM defines common concepts and terms within an integrated set of best practices that evolves to meet market needs in a cycle of continual improvement. Organizations across the world have demonstrated that they can adapt ITSM to their business needs. And as ITSM is flexible and scalable, organizations of all shapes and sizes can implement ITSM to deliver business benefits in stages. Another reason is that we have optimized service delivery across supply chain. So ITSM provides processes and models to help service providers to work with their business, customers, users, and suppliers to make sound business decisions on investment opportunities, cost optimization, management of risks, and priorities for improvement. Next, we have the improved quality of service. So when you are adopting standards that are tried and tested, it is natural that you would deliver services more consistently to the agreed service levels, and also much more efficiently and effectively. Support teams can restore service faster, reducing downtime and disruption. Service providers are all more capable of meeting their service levels, contractual, regulatory, and legal compliance requirements. Another reason is competitive advantage. So organizations can focus on delivering value to the customer and quickly adopt change for the business and IT. Defining and managing the customer and service portfolios enables successful business transformation and growth within an increased competitive advantage. Better customer relationship and satisfaction. So ITSM is designed to help everyone to focus their attention on the needs of the customers and user experience rather than focusing too much on the technology issues. And as we all know, increased customer satisfaction ensures that we have happier customers. So now that we are aware of the benefits of Agile and ITSM, we are going to talk about the pros and cons of integrating Agile and ITSM and doing DevOps through that. So the first slide emphasizes on the wall of confusion. So there's always been a difference in perspective between Dev and Ops, but it's always been more of an impediment than a benefit. The common goal should be getting software deployed as quickly, safely, and efficiently as possible, right? But each group instead has a more short-term priority, not necessarily related to the results the business is looking for. Lee Thompson coined this term, the wall of confusion, to describe the apparent inability for development and operations to communicate around a common goal. And this wall of confusion is a critical barrier to effective teamwork. It separates development from operations. So breaking this wall can contribute towards a more harmonious acceptance of what each party holds near and dear. So for example, developers are always more prone to working on change, as in continuous innovation and product enrichment. Whereas ops, on the other hand, are more inclined towards a more stable environment that streamlines the whole software development lifecycle process. So we can very safely assume that breaking this wall of confusion is one of the key to successfully implement DevOps. So we next come to the slide of need for integrating Agile and ITSM. This picture in this slide is almost self-explanatory, right? So as we were discussing, it has been traditionally seen that the development team is always in favor of changes, and the operations team, again, more prone to steadier operating environments. Now, it is absolutely logical on the part of both the teams to demand for what they are doing. But the sad part of the story is that either don't believe that they can achieve it together. So dev thinks that if we have change, we won't have stability, and operations thinks the vice versa. And this is again where DevOps steps in. With both development and operations being an integral part of the business, it is natural for the business to want both for the greater cause. Ensuring change for developers and a steadier operating environment for the operations team should result in bigger and better results for the organization. DevOps ensures just that. So now we focus on the benefits of DevOps through Agile and ITSM. So the first point is frequent high-quality releases. This is an objective of any software development firm, isn't it? High value delivered earlier. That's all we propagate day in and day out. And the same is the case for DevOps too. Frequency in high-quality releases can be easily achieved with constant communication between development and operations. Again, we have faster resolution of issues. So this is the next point. So with comparatively less complex issues to deal with, the resolution of issues is much simpler and faster. This is a huge benefit because whenever a customer comes up with an issue, it is never advisable to keep them waiting for long. It is agonizing on their part as well. So integrated DevOps through Agile and ITSM ensures that you can have faster resolution of issues. The next point is uniformity of communication within the company and with the customers. So this is like when everybody is speaking the same language, you communicate more effectively and efficiently. And it also ensures everybody is in the same boat. Everybody is aware of what is going on in the project, reducing chances of miscommunications and misunderstandings. So that is what uniformity and communication can do. The next point is incremental code improvements. So as in Agile development environment, frequency and magnitude of changes can both be small and large. However, these minor or major changes can sometimes significantly impact a product. A DevOps team can manage minor or major code modifications and improvements more efficiently through continuous integration. So the next point is happier customer and business expansion. So if there is no longer a shift between teams, there is no longer a difference in opinion. And in essence, people working together create a better community and interpersonal relationships between each other. This is one of the ways DevOps improves a company's culture, which in turn improves each team's outlook towards any failure, and we're more prone to success. So now that we have talked about DevOps, then we talked about Agile and ITSM. We now are aware of the benefits of integrating Agile and ITSM. We now have to know that how do we get started with integration. So these are the integration options that we have available for us. So basically there are three approaches that are there: point-to-point integration, single vendor integrated tools, and ALM integration middleware. So the first 2 points we are not going to discuss over here at much detail, as we'll discuss more about ALM integration middleware. As you can see from the points itself that this is the best approach. So to talk about ALM integration middleware, it is the integration middleware which falls into this category, and this is based on enterprise service bus architecture that requires only one connector per tool, thereby making the integration environment readily scalable. It is capable of integrating tools irrespective of their vendors and platforms. So in the next slide, we talk about the advantages of integrating. So the first point, it is the data visibility across the tools. So we want to see the data of one tool to be displayed in another tool. We also call it data plumbing. We can create the traceability between the objects in different tools so that one object in one tool gets changed. We will be able to know what are the impacts being raised on other objects in other tools. So it is actually creating a change management and impact analysis across different tools. So with integration in place, we can also achieve process automation across tools for the entire life cycle. We use different tools that have their own workflow, but then what about that workflow that cuts across the tool boundaries and creates an entire life cycle process? We should be able to do that when we integrate different tools. And last but not the least, the integration helps us to produce different kinds of reports, metrics, KPIs, dashboards out of the data coming from different tools. Due to the relationships between the objects in different tools, we can create such metrics and reports which would have been otherwise impossible to derive from a single tool. So now we will emphasize on the Kovair solution and integrated DevOps. So how we can achieve integrated DevOps with the help of Kovair solution. So this slide basically explains the Kovair Omnibus features. So let me quickly go through each of these features. So the first point is robust reliability mechanisms. So since this is based on SOA, a lot of components communicate with each other. And we make sure that the communication among these components is reliable. The next point is ability to define processes spanning across multiple tools. So with the help of Kovair Omnibus, you can define automated workflows spanning across multiple tool boundaries. Integration of attachments, comments, rich text. Kovair Omnibus also has this capability to transfer any attachment, comments, or rich text content that the record might have. Synchronization of relation. So Kovair not only synchronizes the artifacts between tools, but also its relationships with other artifacts as well. Powerful plugins. So we have powerful plugins for IDEs like Eclipse, Visual Studio, and developers working on this IDEs can directly add or modify an item that resides in the source tool without keeping a copy of that artifact in the IDE. Ability to define cross-tool relation. So Omnibus allows you to link items from different repository tools through the Kovair plugins. Data transformation. So now this is interesting. Sometimes it is required that the data is not passed as is to the other tool, but transformed in some or the other way. So we can do some calculations upon two or multiple fields to get a calculated value and then transfer it to the destination tool. Kovair provides you with an expression builder to define such transformation logic. Manage integration rules. So in Kovair Omnibus, the integration rules are not hard-coded in Kovair Omnibus engine or any of the tool adapters. We also have support for load balancing. Then we have support for synchronization and federation of data. So Omnibus supports synchronization and federation of data. Synchronization is supported by moving the data from one tool to another, and federation through the Kovair Omnibus plugin capabilities and OSLC linking. And we also add value beyond data plumbing capabilities. So centralized processes, Kovair provides a lot of value addition other than just moving the data across multiple tools. You can do traceability across tools, project and resource management, analytics, and last but obviously not the least, the consolidated reporting and dashboard. So this slide focuses on what Kovair Omnibus today is with 50+ tool integrations. So as you can see from the slide, we cater to the different domains like requirement management, design, coding, configuration management, and other domains. So in today's demo, we are going to do it with Remedy and Rally. So you'll find those tools listed over here as well. So this is Rally Dev. So next, we move on to a live demo. But before going to the live demo, what we'll do is that we'll give you a brief overview about the demo scenario that we are going to show you today. So in today's demo, what we'll do is we'll have this Remedy BMC software. In between have Kovair Omnibus and Rally in the other side. So the ops team is using Remedy and the development team is using Rally. So first what we'll do is a customer would submit an incident in Remedy. Based on that, the operation team member would create a problem with respect to incident. Then that problem created in Remedy would get reflected in Rally as a defect. So now the developer who's working on Rally is aware of the defect. So he will code and fix this defect. And then once that is done, he'll update the defect in Rally, which ensures that the reflection takes place in Remedy as well in the problem record. And once the problem record is updated, the corresponding incident in Remedy also gets resolved. So let us now quickly go into the demo scenario where we're going to use Remedy as we discussed. So the first thing that we'll do is that, as I said, as a customer, I'll get into Remedy and create a new incident. So for doing that, let me click on New Incident, and it should open up the incident form. So let me assign a company for this incident and a specific customer, and let me type in a name like incident for webinar on DevOps. So let me copy this and paste it in the description and add description for on that. So let me assign some mandatory fields for this specific incident. So I'll assign an impact, an urgency, priority, and then I'll have to assign a group. So again, I'll assign the adapter group and a specific assignee for that. And let me put the status as in progress and save this corresponding incident. So once I do that, let me go back to the incident management console page to check the incident that has been submitted just now. So let me sort it with the ID. So over here I can see incident for webinar on DevOps. So now once the customer has submitted this incident, let me assume that we'll log in as a operation team member, and doing that he clicks on this incident, gets through the details of this particular record, and after the required analysis he decides that he needs to create a problem with respect to this incident. So he clicks over here and says generate problem. So once he does that, it'll again open up the problem page, and let me just tweak this title a bit. So let me say problem for incident for webinar on DevOps, and move down below for the mandatory fields. Let us give the required assigned group, an assignee. Status would be in under review. So if it is in under review, we'll have to assign a target date. So let me put an arbitrary date like 30th September. And once we are done with that, let me save this problem. So now once we save it again, let me just get back to this problem management console page so that we get to see the problem that has been created with respect to the incident. So this is what the operations team does with respect to the incident that has been submitted by the customer. It submits a problem. So over here I can see the problem for incident for webinar on DevOps. So now once that is done, as we had depicted in the demo scenario slide, that based on the problem that is being entered into Remedy, what Kovair Omnibus does is that it triggers an event action mechanism, and over here the event is this problem which is being created in Remedy, and based on this particular event we'll have an action created in Rally. So let me get into Rally. So this is the project that we are using for this particular demonstration. So let me load up the defects list page to check whether the problem that we had created has come or not. So over here I can see the problem for incident for webinar on DevOps. So once the problem is reflected in Rally, what we can do is that the development team is aware, the development team members are aware of it, and one of them can pick this particular problem up, go through the details of this record by going through the record details, and then once he does that, he would code and fix the defect. So for the sake of time, we would not be showing the coding cycle over here. What we'll instead do is that assume that the developer has done the necessary code changes and fixes this defect. And once he does that, he comes back to Rally to update this record and edit it so that he can update the status of this particular record as fixed. So I've clicked on edit the record. This opens up the form page, and over here I'll select fixed and then save and close this particular record. So once that is done, again, as I was saying in the last scenario, that by the help of an event detection mechanism, this again ensures that this reflection, this updation is taking place in BMC Remedy as well. So what we'll do is we'll quickly go back to Remedy and get into the problem management console to check whether this reflection is taking place or not. So once the development has done the required changes, he will update it. So let me just review this screen, refresh the page once. And once I see that, I don't see it in the list page currently. So let me just quickly change the filter. So it, as the status has changed, this is not listed in this current list. So I've clicked on all closed problems. That should give me the list. Over here I can see the problem for incident for webinar on DevOps. So this status is currently closed. So based on the modification that has been done on the other side in the other tool, the reflection is taking place in Remedy as well. And not only that, based on the business logics that you configure in Kovair, what you can also do is you can also ensure that the corresponding incident for this problem is also updated and is closed. So for that, what we will do is we'll go to the incident management console page and get to see whether the incident has got closed or not. So here is the incident that we are doing. Let me again refresh this page, or let me just open it up. The reflection is not taking place over here. So over here it shows that it is resolved. And again, not only this, what you can also do is you can generate a notification through Kovair Omnibus. So over here, as you can see, an automatic defect has come up, automatic mail has come up over here based on the defect resolution. So that is like over here it says that the defect problem for incident for webinar on DevOps has been resolved. Please find the details below. So this details that you see is because of the Kovair application. Also, you have a URL based on which you can click on this and navigate to the record directly. And so this kind of system generated mails can be configured with the business logic of Kovair application. So that was to give you a brief view about the Kovair business logic, but now I'll take you to the Kovair interface where I'll show you a little bit of dashboards and reporting that you can do with the help of Kovair application. So this is the Kovair interface that you are currently seeing in your screen. Okay, so the session got timed out, so let me just log in. So over here I have two dashboards for this user. So let me click on the incident problem dashboard, and over here this should host a number of gadgets which are basically reports. So as the page gets loaded, we can see the different types of reports that are there. So the reports that you see currently on your screen is distribution by incident urgency over status and distribution by incident urgency. So such kind of reports can be seen with the help of Kovair dashboard. And the images that you see on your screen right now are not just static images. These have drill down capabilities. So what I mean by drill down capability is that we can click on a specific sector, and that should ensure that I lead up to the list page. So over here I have the window coming up. So this window is coming up. So this lists all the incidents that I have, and over here I can also see the incident for webinar on DevOps, the dynamic, the one that we created on the flow while we are showing you the demo presentation. So such things can be configured using Kovair application. And not only that, the drill down capability also can ensure you that you can drill down even further to get into the specific details for the record. So over here what we can do is we can have incident for webinar on DevOps. So this is coming up over here based on the record that we have created. So if I scroll down a little below, so over here you can see multi-level pie charts, and so this is a distribution by incident status and defect status. So this reports can also be configured using Kovair. Over here you can see that first the defects are distributed based on the incident status, and then we also have defect status based on which we can do that. Also we have a defect submission and versus closure trend. So this what it does is that over here we can track that how many defects have got submitted and how many defects are closed. We can track that on the fly. So these are dynamic reports which gets updated real time, and based on these curves you can clearly identify that which are the defects that are getting submitted as well as closed. Similarly, again, distribution by defect status and distribution by tools. So this kind of reports can also be configured. Again, another kind of dashboard could be like a tabular report. So this kind of report also be generated out of Kovair, where you can load up all the lists based on which the things come up, the specific record items come up. So as you can see, incident group by status, again the incident list where you have the list of all the records that are being created through integration. So such kind of reports can also be configured using Kovair. So that was it about the demo so that we intended to show you today, and as well as the presentation. So Ardhana, if it's fine, we can take up the questions now.
Thanks for the insightful presentation, Sayak. Let's quickly take up the questions now, as you have just mentioned. I request you to read out the questions and their answers so that all our users may listen to your insights.
Okay. So Ardhana, can you, yeah, okay, that's fine. So the first question is from Shrestha, which says that is DevOps possible through other methodologies? So yes, Shrestha, that is possible. DevOps can be achieved using different methodologies. So it is just that in today's IT industry, we promote, or rather I would say that it is Agile is the most preferred option. But if you want, then it can always be implemented using different methodologies, or as well as if you do not want to use ITSM for operations, that also you can do. So that is flexible, but for the purpose of today's demo and presentation, what we'll do is, what we did was that we tried to show you the advantages that are there in DevOps through Agile and ITSM integration. So I see another question from Shumanto, which says, well, at first glance, the business benefits of DevOps look to be the benefits of Agile framework. So Shumanto, if you could see that I had mentioned in one slide that it is DevOps is basically one born out of the Agile movement. So it's absolutely natural that most of the Agile things are taken more advantage of using DevOps. So that is the way it goes. That is why DevOps is more effective using Agile. And again, Agile is also more effective using DevOps. So another question is, so over here I can see one question from Rishabh. It says, how are these reports getting generated? So Rishabh, these reports are getting generated on the fly. This is the capability of the Kovair application. This is the capability of the Kovair application, which enables us to create records, and based on the copy of the records that we have in the Kovair repository, you can create these reports on the fly. And as I was mentioning while I was showing you the reports, that these are absolutely configurable. So if I have created a report which shows you the defect submission versus closure trend, that also could be like defect submission versus approval trend or that kind of a thing. So that is about the way you want. So that can be absolutely configured based on the need of the user. So you can configure it using the Kovair interface. So another question from Abhiram. Okay. So another question that I see from Abhiram Radhakrishnan is, do you comparison from Kovair with open source or vendor specific like IBM Jazz framework? So Abhiram, to answer your question, we support open source as well. So and also what we would like to mention specific to your question is that, as you must have seen in one of the slides that we have shown you the different tools that we support right now. But apart from that, also if you have a specific homegrown tool that you are using within your organization and that is not in the public domain, then also we cater to your needs. If you feel that is a showstopper for you, we can create an adapter based for your that is specifically made for your homemade tool, and you can use it for integrating that. So another question is how it is more different from Agile. That is by Ramanathan. So Ramanathan, to answer your question again, as I was saying, so DevOps is basically a combination of development and operations. So Agile is the methodology in which you do development. And operations, as we had discussed in this demo, we have shown that we are using ITSM for operations. So this ensures that DevOps is a combination of both. And not only that, DevOps is basically more of a team in which people from diverse domains and functional units of a specific project combine, and they work together, collaborating with each other to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of a project, and how we can do that. So another question is, hi, on which platform this integration has been done? That is from Abhishek Gupta. So that is ASP.NET, and the database behind is of SQL Server. So the Microsoft is ASP.NET. So how would you distinguish DevOps with Jira Agile? Which one is better and why? Abhishek Shukla. So Abhishek, then again, to answer your question, as I was saying to Ramanathan as well, that DevOps is a combination of development and operations, whereas Jira Agile is for development methodology. So that you can use Jira Agile for development and a different tool, let's say Remedy or ServiceNow for ITSM, and combining Jira Agile and Remedy or ServiceNow, you can achieve DevOps with both of them. So another question from Ketul Patel is Kovair Omnibus integrated with Jira, OTRS and SVN? So Jira and SVN we have support. OTRS we do not have off the shelf, but if you are interested for OPRS, you can always contact us with your specific requirements, and we would be more than pleased to revert back to you with the specific requirements. So another question is from Abhishek Gupta, which says, can this interface be workable on open source, or queue-like view? Yes, that can be done, Abhishek. So how does the communication between vendor tools and Kovair bus happen? Is it there is a separate protocol and XML data? Srishant Nukala. So yes, to answer your question, so we have web services for integration. What we do, as I was explaining, that there is an event action mechanism in which we interact with the APIs of the different tools, and that ensures that when there is an event in a specific tool, that corresponds to a specific action in the destination tool. Okay, so that was more about it. So another question from Jay Kumar Patalur is that, does Omnibus support IBM change? So could not get the question entirely, Jay Kumar. So what I would say is that we have support for tools like RSA, RQM, RRC. So that we have. So that we can, so if you have any specific question regarding to an IBM tool, you can let us know and we'll respond back to you. So we have RTC, IBM vendors, the tools from IBM vendors like RTC, that also we have Requisite Pro, we can. So that is more like it. So Radhanath, we have more questions?
Like there are few questions that are coming in.
Okay. Would the deck of this session be shared? So yes, that would be shared. That is from Mehul Bhadricha. Yes, the session would be shared to you, Mehul. And you can always contact us. So I'll show the slide for that as well. That you can contact us and reach out to you with your specific requirements. Does Kovair have integration from Remedy to TFS? Chinjit HR. Yes, Chinjit, we have integration for Remedy to TFS. If you want, you can contact us directly and we'll get back to you. Do you support Selenium as well? Shankar Sen. Yes, Shankar, we have support for Selenium. So we do have a ready-made adapter for Selenium. So just to answer that query, let me Kovair have integration with Remedy and TFS, Omnibus support change. So let me share this slide with you so you have it on your screen so that you can contact us with if you have any specific queries. And you can also visit us at your website www.kovair.com.
I think that's about with the questions. So if you would like to sum up the
So
session.
another question from Jayant. Yeah, so just Radhana,
Yes,
just
please
one
take
more
this
question I have. Jayant Akolkar says that is DevOps loosely or otherwise based on Microsoft MSF and MOF models? So the answer is no, Jayant. Yeah, Radhana, so you were saying something?
Yes, Jayant, I was saying you can sum up the session for today. That's about all the questions that we have got.
Okay, so yeah, thanks Aradhana. So thank you everyone for your time, appreciate the same. And as I was saying that if you have any further queries, you can always mail to us at marketing@kovair.com, and you can also visit us at our website, that is www.kovair.com. So thank you everyone, goodbye.
And I'm really thankful to our guest speaker today for conducting this wonderful webinar. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. The recording of the webinar will be available on techgeek.com by tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Sayak, for taking the time out and having us. I hope you all have a great evening ahead.
Thank you, Radha. Same to
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.